tide goes out, it always goes out. No power on earth has ever held a tide at its full. And yet no one stands on the beach at low water grieving, convinced the ocean has abandoned the shore, because we know the rhythm. We know the going out is half of the coming in. We extend that grace to the ocean. We almost never extend it to ourselves. The fifth principle of the Kybalion is the principle of rhythm. Everything flows out and in. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. The pendulum swing manifests in everything. Everything swings, day into night, summer into winter, breath in and breath out. And, the old teachers insisted, every single thing in a human life. Energy swings, motivation swings, confidence, creativity, faith, joy, all of them are tidal. There are seasons when everything you touch moves forward, and seasons when the same effort produces nothing. And the principle says this is not failure, this is a law. The pendulum that carried you forward must swing back. The swing back is what loads the next swing forward. Most suffering around this law comes from misreading it. The motivated person on the upswing believes they have finally fixed themselves. They build plans that assume the high tide is permanent, and then they need the inevitable ebb as a personal collapse. The person in the ebb believes the low tide is the truth at last revealed. They make grim conclusions about their life, their work, their worth, and sometimes make permanent decisions inside a temporary season. Both had mistaken a phase for a verdict. The Hermetic student does something different, and the Kybalion gives it a beautiful name, the law of neutralization. You cannot stop the pendulum, but you do not have to ride it to its extremes. The teaching is that the swing happens, yet you can refuse to pour your whole self into either pole. In the high season, you enjoy it fully, but hold it lightly, knowing what follows, saving grain in the fat months. In the low season, you let the pendulum swing through the lower instruments of your nature, mood, energy, appetite, while the deeper part of you stands like the fixed point at the top of the pendulum, the one place in a pendulum that does not swing. There's always such a point in you. That awareness that watches the mood is not the mood. The one who notices the tide is not the tide. Practically, the principle changes how you work and how you judge yourself. It tells you to use the high tides deliberately. Create, launch, connect, push while the water is with you. And it tells you to reassign the low tides rather than resenting it. Rest, sharpen tools, reflect, tend to the small things. Let the field lie fallow, because fallow is how fields recover their power. The farmer does not despise winter. Winter is part of how wheat happens. And above all, the principle gives you the one sentence that has carried people through every dark season since seasons began. This too shall pass. Not this might. This shall. It will. Rhythm is not hope, it is a law. The same law that took the tide out is already, in this moment, preparing its return. So here's the practice for the fifth principle. Tonight, write one honest line. What season am I actually in? Not the season you wish, not the season you fear, the real one. Then ask the question that matters. What does this season ask of me? High tide asks for bold action. Low tide asks for patience, maintenance, and rest. Most exhaustion comes from doing winter's work in summer or demanding summer's harvest in winter. Match the season, and the rhythm stops being your enemy and becomes your engine. The tide goes out, the tide comes in. You're not drowning, you're just breathing. In the next episode, the sixth principle, the law the ancients said governs every chance and accident, cause and effect. If this video found you at the right moment, the next principle is waiting. Solar Heart Motivation. Walk in light.